The Sorrel house in Savannah, Georgia is allegedly haunted with fearful spirits from the past during the Civil War. Let's go inside and take a look to see if we can find anything suspicious. Francis Sorrel was a general during the Civil War, where him and his wife, Matilda Sorrel, lived in Savannah, Georgia. When Matilda was 54 years old, she witnessed her husband cheating on her with one of the slave girls named Molly. This caused Matilda to kill herself by jumping off the second floor of her home to her death. 2 weeks later, Molly was found hanging from the rafters in her room, dead. Soon after Molly's death, letters were found which were written after Matilda's death and right before Molly was found dead. The letters were written to Francis Sorrel, who said they had an issue that needed to be dealt with, in a very cryptic tone. These letters were some evidence that Molly was actually murdered by Francis Sorrel. As we investigated the house, our tour guide explained the stories that the owners experienced.
Chris was saying that in this room, he'd leave and find the furniture rearranged. Like the chair that was in that corner might be in that corner when he comes back. He would see the floor lamp come on all by itself right in front of his eyes. And he would hear a woman's voice call out in the middle of the night. At one point, the woman's voice even began to call him by his name. When the TAPS crew came here and they caught that remote, that EVP, that recording of the voice screaming for help, and oh my God, get out here! And he determined that was the voice that was calling him by his name. Would you believe all he did was move his bed out of this room and into that one? Wow, guy had guts. Or
you're on my tour of the 14th. You guys are sitting on the couch in the slaves' quarters in the basement. What happened again?
We were sitting on the couch, and we were sitting on one person on each end of the couch, and just kind of still, and something pushed the back of the couch back while he was sitting down in between us.
Like it forced itself down between you two.
Right, yeah.
It actually pushed my leg over out of the way as it began to sit down.
And there's no doubt about that.
No doubt about it.
That wasn't your son.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
Wow, and you were just, what's your reaction when something like that happens? Something touches you can't see.
Get out of there.
Okay, good enough.
Here's the story being told by our tour guide.
shortly after 3 a.m. To what he said was the sensation of something pressing down around the edge of his mattress like he was stuck under a gigantic cookie cutter. He was on the phone with the Catholic Church that morning inquiring about exorcisms, because after all, I believe it is the Catholic Church who wrote the right of exorcism, but he learned that you exorcise a person, you bless a house. And it wasn't, for some reason, feasible to get a priest over here to do a house blessing. Then he learned some bad news and some worse news. The bad news was that an exorcism had been done here earlier, in just a month before, in May of 2009, pardon me, 2008. And if you do an exorcism incorrectly, if it's not done, some believe, by a sincere, earnest man of God, you can make the problem worse. The worst news is it had been done by a guy named the Reverend Bob Larson on a very short-lived one-season TV show, The Real Exorcist, with Reverend Bob Larson. It didn't last long. And let's talk about the character of Mr. Larson. I haven't met him personally, but I understand he's kind of cheesy. I'm told by people who've been on my tour that he is now facing harassment charges from some of the women.
When I traveled to the Sorrel house, we were not able to get any footage of our experiences, but while we were buying our tickets, the door suddenly opened and closed several times. Even though I did not capture anything on tape, professionals found paranormal evidence.